to share my screen. We're not going to look at any videos. We're going to work from my slides now. So yeah, there it is. There's the debate thumbnail. And see, the title of this debate is faith alone consistent? Is James 2 consistent with salvation by faith alone? Okay. So consistent is a big word. We can deal with a lot of different things with that word consistent. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. Let me turn the beat up just a little bit. I don't feel like turning the lights on right now, guys. It's kind of hot. And I need to just get down to work. But so that might be too loud. All right, we'll go with that. Well, one thing is that whenever I debated Cobain, after I debated Cobain debated Turtafan on justification. And so I wrote this message to somebody. I said, if I were Cobain, I would have opened up in the following way. This is my second debate on this channel. Number 2. The last one, Charles rejected the traditional thesis that Turtafan now defends. You know, maybe if Sungenis could have prepared by watching that debate, might have come up with some kind of presentation like this. 1 second, guys. So you see here, says Charles rejected debate based on how certain terms are used. Turtafan does not appear to have learned from that debate. For clarification, is Charles wrong or is he right? Charles failed to explain how glorification is not conditioned on suffering. He claimed that there's 2 types of inheritance. Does Turtafan agree with this? If he disagrees, then Charles is wrong. If he agrees, then he must prove what Charles failed to prove. All experiential sanctification concepts are either a process for salvation or sanctification. Eastern Orthodox argues that they had the right process of salvation. Okay. Now then, I imagined if I was Turtafan, how I would reply to such an approach. And I said, you're debating me, Cobain. I am not debating Charles. Charles is wrong about free grace. Charles does not view the scripture like you or me. Here's what Charles should have said, and here's why the conservative thesis stands. Okay. Then Cobain would counter in the following way. I brought up Charles because we both studied the debate and have debated him before. 2, this debate builds on your debate with Tregelia and my debate with Slick and Rogers and Charles. 3, you should do better than them. 4, otherwise Eastern Orthodox wins and Protestants are divided and defeated. Okay. Then Turtafan could reply, you're trying to divide and conquer, but Eastern Orthodox has its own differences. Cobain is pulling from his seminary experience. Reformed seminaries teach the same hermeneutic and Bible. 5, however, these do not make Cobain correct. Cobain must demonstrate why my articulation is wrong. He must also demonstrate greater explanatory power. Slick tried theology and philosophy. Rogers tried church history. Charles tried charts. What will Turtafan try? What does he bring to the table? And then I wrote, and then so these are my actual thoughts in Turtafan's debate with him on justification. Cobain is setting up the inheritance issue for Romans 8. Cobain is going to try to trap him because he thinks he got me. And like last time, if he can argue that continual faith is expressed on suffering, which is the condition for glorification, then he will argue only Eastern Orthodox provides this. If he's smart, he will shift to Romans 8. Turtafan loves to talk about adoption, but I fear that it'll more look like an abortion if he goes there. All right, so the reason I shared that is because there's been other debates besides when Wilkin debated justification, and so there's even been one with Jimmy Aiken I still haven't seen. There's things like that. There's always more that I could do. And I got some notes, okay? I don't even think I would include these notes in my debate, but they're in my mind. So let me just look at these notes and we'll go forward. Notes for debate prep observations. Adam is the son of God. In what sense? Because that's something that Sungenis had mentioned. Adoption and creation or new creation. Is there more than one type of inheritance? Disinheritance, not my people language. Children, fatherhood idea, heirs, Christians, joint heirs, overcomers, imputed, infused, influencing righteousness. We agree to not work for salvation. God gives an able and blesses beyond us. Different systems of grace. My goal is to do better than Kelly Powers. All right, so there's a couple things I could use in that, but I'm confident that it'll come up, so I can erase that one. Let's look at this one. So here's some passages that were brought up in the Wilkin debate. So what I'll probably do is just I'll keep that slide. I don't know when I'll use it or integrate it. More passages. Okay, so let's just do this. Let's just put all the passages on one thing. All right. I'm just not going to debate in the same way that those other guys debated. So a lot of this is not going to be helpful. All right. So that kind of gets me. Live one moment and never die. Yeah, I already can deal with those. All right. So now let's erase all this. I'll bring up this Corinthians passage if need be. Matthew 11:19. All right. 2 Timothy. Let's see here. Can delete that one. Trent, he can still be a heretic. All right. So this was more similar to, I think, my Cobain opening. I have to look and see my notes on this one. Hey, rebuke and reprove. Faith alone is consistent with James 2. Okay. Faith alone is a doctrinal position, not just a phrase. I like that. Free grace theology is the most faith alone. Free grace theology is the most faith alone position. Okay. I don't need that. Pros TH is that all passages are about experiential sanctification and experiential sanctification. Okay. Free grace has the greatest explanatory power. I don't need to say things like that. One spirit. It's justification, righteous imputation, even positional. Don't need that. Covenant stuff. No. Transformation of life. Don't need that. Regenerated, united spirit life, then declared righteous. That can come up in the passages. Ungodly. We don't need that. Not at the process of salvation, dependent on experience. Experiential sanctification. All right. Maybe I might save that one. Church of Christ, how they believe things, similar. I don't need that in this one. The exists is prior cause and effect. I understand that. The difference between initial and continual faith. I can talk about those things that needed. I just don't think those things are really going to come up. So let's do this. So we got the Sungenis debate. It's most similar to number 17, Sarah from Hamilton debate. And so yeah, debate number 27. Okay. I think the way I have it set up is I'm going to explain from the beginning that in my email to Dr. Sungenis that I'm going to be coming with things from a different angle and perspective. All right. So this is going to be something different than what Sungenis has had to deal with both in his book as well as in his debates. Okay. Let's see here. All right. So bottom line, Dr. Sungenis is fed up with the arguments of Protestants that claim that James and Paul are talking about two types of justifications. In other words, one for how to be saved from hell, and so on. Or that Romans 2 is merely hypothetical. Well, I'm offering him something different. The thesis, my THM thesis, assume passages about experiential justification and experiential sanctification, which I will explain those terms in a minute. Dr. Sungenis knows how these three aspects of salvation or sanctification work in Protestant theology. He just rejects it. I will attempt to use more clarifying terms for the audience, then still man Dr. Sungenis before explaining my views in detail. And that's pretty good. Okay. So then, I had this slide, but it's probably too much. Traditionally known as justification, sanctification, glorification. But the reality is that these terms, justification, sanctification, and glorification, can be used across the table. And the issue is that when Sungenis is hearing this, he's thinking that this whole thing is a horizontal process. Okay? Even though he recognizes there's an eventual event that puts that process into motion, and you could even talk about the horizontal process and that event comes to an end. I don't think I need all this. Let's see. Yeah, I don't need it. I need to make a better diagram or chart to reflect what we're talking about here. I could run with this chart. Make a modified version of it. Let's try that. All right. Oh, I need 3 columns for this. 1, 2, 3. And so this would be eternal position. This would be temporal experience. And eternal experience. Eternal position, temporal experience, eternal. Let's do this. Eternal ultimate experience. Hey, Christ is the truth. All right. So eternal position is based on initial belief. Okay. Temporal experience. I don't even think I need these here, so I'm gonna merge these. Merge cells based on initial belief. Let's do the same thing here. All right. Yes, yeah, the debate is at I think 6 or 7 p.m. July 6th. Based on initial belief. Okay. Temporal experience is based on additional moments of belief or unbelief. Okay. Based on position, one receives a glorified body. Okay, that helps a little bit, but I'm probably going to have to use subcategories in this one. So split the cell to, okay. So there's two classes of being. There's the never believer and the believe once. The one-time believer. Let's just call it that. He's not gonna like it. He's gonna press me, but whatever. One-time believer. The never believer and the one-time believer. All right. And then let's do this. Let's go ahead and split this one here. Sees a glorified body. Rewards, rank, rule in the kingdom. Okay. So never believer, one-time believer, and then we can put glorified body up here. Glorified body. And then rewards. We can do that right there. Hey, raising the dead. Well, if I ever sleep, he'll be in my dreams. All right. So, based on additional moments of belief, rewards based on being in fellowship. What was learned while in fellowship? I don't think I have to put the basis for that on here. Based on faithfulness during temporal life. That might work. All right. I'll go ahead and delete this. All right. So this is a chart I was thinking about using. Yeah, I'm still going to do this. All right. So let's see here. Question is, do I want to combine the two charts? I mean, I think I can. Let's see what happens if I do. All right. So we could call this fused. But I got to put it on the right side. Fused. Infused. And totality. So let's go ahead and combine these two. So eternal position, we could talk about fused. Fused union, right? Fused union. When we could talk about infused. Infused blessings. Or let's just say infused, okay? And eternal ultimate experience, we could call it totality. Hopefully I'm not making this more complicated. All right. So, position gives potential. So let's put this. Position gives potential. To play out. And there's an Abrahamic covenant. This is too complicated, but I'll try to simplify it. Potential versus kinetic. Inheritance. Kinetic. All right. And then we can put the term system of grace. The issue is wrong model. So they would put the sacraments here. All right. Yeah, I don't know how much of this is needed. No indwelling sin. So I don't need this here. All right, we'll work with that. Then we can eliminate this chart. Those are the notes we have. It looks like I got this in more than one place. So let's see what we have going on here. Faith alone is the consistent with James 2. Let's see. Let's see if maybe I need to move some things around. Explain this still man explaining my views in detail. Okay, we'll come back to that. Okay, this is another chart that I attempted to make to bring clarification. Question is, do I need it now? All right. Illustration, a dot, a broken line, clarification for responsibility, walking with God moments, God takes you home. Eternal results, temporal. That, I kind of like that one better than what I just had. It doesn't include the basis. But it makes a claim that it has eternal results. Yeah, I'm happy with that one. So we don't need this chart. We don't even need this chart. Maybe I can draw a line above it so that people understand what I'm representing it as. So let's say you have a dot going right here. Let's color in the dot. And you got a broken line. And then you got another dot. Let's see if that works. All right, so offer some different. I think I can just include this. So Dr. Sungenis is fed up. So let me go ahead and put some keywords. Trigger fed up with the claims. With the claim. What it runs to is merely hypothetical. Well, I'm offering something different. For my thesis, I'm going to assume passages are about experiential justification, experiential sanctification. Dr. Sungenis knows these three aspects of sanctification, work, and partisan. He knows about, let's just say, about the three aspects in salvation or sanctification, about how the three aspects, he just rejects it. Okay, I'll just keep that. I will attempt to use more clarifying terms for the audience, and then I want to steel man Dr. Sungenis before explaining my view in detail. Okay. So I like that. So essentially what I'm doing right here is I'm saying, this is the email that I shared with Dr. Sungenis, so he knew that I would be coming from a different angle and perspective that I believe he would appreciate. Hopefully y'all will appreciate that as well. All right. So let me just start with basics. You can't start there. You're gonna have to go over this. I still haven't defined faith alone, so we're gonna have to put faith alone up forward. So we're gonna have to look at some things here. This is Sungenis's books. All right. Okay. I got some previous slides somewhere that I made early on in my prep. I think these are these down here. Yeah. So let me try to build these. Got too many slides. That's the challenge, is to condense everything. Okay. Sungenis, the source explaining my view in detail. The topic is faith alone. Okay, I think I can put this here for now. Topic is faith alone, consistent with James 2. Cliche, James 2. Boom. I go right into James 2. My main issue to James, saved never refers to how to be saved, to how to go to heaven. How to be saved from hell, or how to be how to go to heaven. Which one sounds better? I don't know. I'll fix that later. Okay, so let's go back down here and get my original thing. Okay. Here's a faster way to do this. I'll do it next time. We got 296 slides. All right. Oh, you jerk. Fine, I'll do it this way. I'll go ahead and throw those forward. That was my original outline, and then I started thinking about stylistically how I was going to do things after listening to the different debates. The big challenge is getting this opening down to 15 minutes. Right. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically argue that even though we're studying James 2, I don't think this is the main issue, the main problem that we got to deal with. I don't want to rip this guy, but I mean, I could. I'm not sure I want to start out with that type of energy. All right, so let's see here. The topic is faith alone consistent with James 2. My position is free grace theology is the most faith alone position in existence. Okay. The term is a cliche or a slogan from a particular rendering of James 2. James 2 is probably mentioned in every one of my debates. Let's just say this, every one of my debates. The main issue is that in James, saved never refers how to be saved from hell. Also, the phrase in James, save one's soul, never refers how to be saved from hell. The Septuagint first uses it for escaping temporal judgment to save one's temporal life. Those who physically died in the judgment may have gone to hell. I don't have to say that. The context is not about how one is saved from hell. That's what I would go with that. Old Testament theology informs the meaning of the book of James. Okay. Progressive revelation includes Jesus' teachings under the Mosaic Law and the apostles and prophets teaching up into the writing of the book of James. James is written to Israelite Christians. They're saved because they have been brought forth by the word. Just gotta plug the verse in. The same word can save their soul. The same word can save their soul, which based on Old Testament Torah means preserves one's quality or life or being. Yeah, I need to clarify that, but that's all in out pretty good. James 2 is consistent with my okay. All right, let's see here. James is my faith alone position. So this is my thesis up front. I want to put the steel man up first. All right, let's see here. Yeah, this looks like the steel man slide. So let's see if we can follow my pattern here. Attempt to use more audience, then Stillman, Dr. Sungenis before explaining my view in detail. All right, so let's Stillman him. Let's move this down here. And let's just call this Steel Man. Dr. Sungenis thinks James 2 is about how you get saved and how you stay saved. You get saved and how you stay saved. I don't know if I want to say James is how you get saved and how you stay saved. I think I'll narrow it down to the James. Dr. Sungenis thinks the book of James is about how you get saved and stay saved. And the way you do this is by staying in a state of grace which is by staying in the good graces of the Roman Catholic Church, that he believes is the system of God-given grace. Okay? He believes that one can become justified and lose that justification and get it back. Justification. In other words, he believes that one can lose salvation. Okay? So, what else do I need to say about this? He believes that while he believes that salvation is based on Jesus' work on the cross. He believes that salvation is based on Jesus' work on the cross, that is administered by the Catholic Church to people through the sacraments. Okay? Catholic Church to people through the sacraments. So it word cross that is administered by the Catholic Church to people through the sacraments. It's like I need to put my shirt on. My wife is preparing for teaching the kids. You bring your popcorn. Leads the salvation based on Jesus' work on the cross that is administered by the Catholic Church to people through the sacraments. As long as one does not have an attitude that places God in debt. Here, I'm going to tighten this up. All right, Dr. Sungenis thinks the book. All right, so Steelman. Okay, so I'm going to just going to call this Steelman of Dr. Sungenis. Okay. So essentially what he's saying is the book of James is about how you get saved and stay saved. Okay. By staying in a state of grace. Staying in a state of grace. By staying in a state of grace, let's just do it this way. By staying in a state of grace with the good graces of the Roman Catholic Church. Let's see. The book of James is about how you get saved by staying in Catholic more times. This is the system of grace. All right. This is the system of grace. So, salvation I'm gonna go get a glass of water. I'll be right back. All right. The book of James is about how you get saved and stay saved by staying in a state of grace with the good graces of the Roman Catholic Church. Catholic Church. This is the system of grace. Salvation is based on Jesus' works at the cross. I gotta move this down here. Salvation is based on Jesus' work on the cross. That's benefits, I guess you could say. Are administered by the Catholic Church to people through the sacraments, through the 7 sacraments. Right? He believes that one can become justified and lose that justification. In other words, he believes that you can lose salvation. He believes water baptism is the first step. It's confusing. Anyway, I'm not going to focus on that. As long as one does not have the attitude to place God in debt, God accepts our works, that He enabled us to do. Enabled us in grace to do. Okay? So, furthermore, let's go ahead and go to another slide. This still man might be so good, he may not have nothing to say in his opening. All right. So, enable us grace to do. So let me see if I can. He believes James 2 is talking about salvation that can be lost. James 2 is talking about justification that can be lost. Okay? And let's see what else I want to say. I wish I could fit all that on one screen. Maybe I can if I condense this over here. The book of James about how you get saved and stay saved. By staying in a state of grace. Now, how about this? By staying in a state of grace with the good graces of the and let's just do this. Let's just shorten it with the Roman Catholic Church. And let's just make this RCC. Roman Catholic Church. And then this is a system of grace. All right. This is a system of grace. All right, so I'll do this. A system of grace. Salvation is based on Jesus' work on the cross. Benefits are administered by the Catholic Church, by the RCC, to people. And I will just say through the 7 sacraments. One can become justified and lose that justification. All right. So one can lose salvation. As long as I'm just going to make it simple. God can't owe us and we are not entitled to salvation. Okay? But God accepts our works that He graciously enabled us to do. All right. Okay. We assess our works graciously is able to do. Let's go one more down, one more row. Protestants need to realize works of the law referred to the Mosaic code. All right, let me just do this. Works of the law refer to the wrong attitude. Let's see. It refers to the wrong attitude toward God, toward the Mosaic law. And below, the RCC works system of grace, of gracious works. Let's do that. Gracious works is different. Okay? That is a pretty good straw man, I think, of his position. After listening to several of his debates. Okay. So now that he's still manned, let me see if I can give my position now. All right. Oh. All right. So let me explain my position. All right. So I want to put Man of Steel, but I've done that in a previous debate. Maybe that's too cocky, though. I'm trying to think. All right. So, yeah, we'll go with it. Man of Steel argument. My Man of Steel argument. All right. So, the top. So I can just put this here. All right, so let's check it for flow. So we got the title. The topic of this debate is faith alone consistent with The topic of this debate is James 2 consistent with salvation by faith alone. I would answer yes, and I intend to explain that in my debate. This debate that I'm about to have is most similar to my debate with the Eastern Orthodox Seraphim Hamilton. In that debate, I gave a conservative thesis concerning justification and a theoretical. In this debate, I will only be arguing for my theoretical thesis that I intend to write my master's thesis about, either for or against. So I'm going to be offering Dr. Sungenis something new, because the reality is that Dr. Sungenis is fed up with the arguments of Protestants, and I am too. Especially whenever they claim that James and Paul are talking about two types of justification, or that Romans 2 is merely hypothetical. Well, I'm offering him something different. As I said, this is going to be my THM thesis. Essentially, what I'm going to be doing in this debate is I'm going to assume passages are about experiential justification and experiential sanctification. I'll explain those terms as we go forward. Dr. Sungenis knows about how these three aspects of salvation or sanctification work in Protestant theology. He just rejects it. That's too hardcore. I don't want that. All right. And I'm going to say knows the three aspects: salvation, sanctification, in Protestant theology. I'm just going to say, I'm going to take out that part right there. And I would say, based on reading his book and hearing his arguments, he understands this. I will attempt to use more clarifying terms for the audience, and still man Dr. Sungenis before explaining my view in detail. Still man and Dr. Sungenis. The book of James is about how you get saved and stay saved. And you do this by staying in a state of grace with the Roman Catholic Church, a system of grace that God has instituted. Salvation is based on Jesus' work on the cross that benefit and its benefits are administered by the Roman Catholic Church through the seven sacraments. So one can become justified and lose that justification and regain it, and so on. In other words, one can lose salvation. You see, God can't owe us, and we're not entitled to salvation. But God accepts our works that he graciously enabled us to do. Works of the law refer to the wrong attitude toward the Mosaic law. The Roman Catholic Church system of gracious works is different and acceptable. In his view. So now that I've steelmanned him, I want to remind the audience that the topic of this debate is faith alone consistent with James 2. But I said it backwards. Yeah, I guess I can keep it like that. Sungenis. All right. So my position is that free grace theology is the most faith alone position in existence. And I can show you that Sungenis agrees. Okay. The term is a cliche or slogan from a particular rendering of James 2. Monon. Right? James 2 is probably meant, this term is a cliche. Let's just do slogan from a particular rendering of James 2. James 2 is probably mentioned in every one of my debates. I would say it is mentioned in every one of my debates. The main issue that I want to argue is James saved never refers how to be saved from hell. Also, the phrase in James, saved one's soul, never refers how to be saved from hell. The Septuagint first uses it for escaping temporal judgment to save one's temporal life. Okay. The context is not about how to save one's soul from hell. The context in Genesis. How to save one's soul from hell. Old Testament theology informs the meaning of the book of James. Progressive revelation includes Jesus' teaching under the Mosaic law and the apostles and prophets' teaching up until the writing of the book of James. James is written to Israelite Christians. They are saved because they've been brought forth by the word. The same word can save their soul, which based on Old Testament theology means preserves one's quality of life or well-being. And I'll put something here. So wait, hold on. So now I'm going to go into detail. So to restate, okay, my thesis is James 2 is consistent with my free grace theology, faith alone position, because it utilizes antecedent revelation to interpret the meaning of saved and saved one's soul. It takes James and Paul the same by viewing justification as a participation in I'm just going to say covenant inheritance. Participation in covenant inheritance that is not salvation, that is not soteriological. That is not soteriological. In other words, pertaining to salvation. I don't need this part. I don't need this about the new covenant. Covenants are not soteriological. They do not save. Christ's blood that ratifies the covenant is soteriological. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just eliminate this row. James' audience are in danger of divine discipline. Dr. Sungenis emphasizes the familial model related to justification. I have similar thoughts, except justification is not salvation. All right. So they are in danger of experiencing certain forms of divine discipline that are mentioned in Deuteronomy 28 through 32 as context. Life refers to blessing and death refers to cursing. So whenever you come across that phrase, I need to give the passage. God is the perfect parent disciplining his people. They are prejudiced and discriminating against the poor, which goes against pure religion. They are in danger of divine discipline that has temporal and even eternal consequences. Some are teachers who receive a stricter judgment. That's 3:1. Some consequences will not be into the Bema. I personally do not believe in general judgment theory. Okay. I got to make this more interactive, integrative. So, yes, SFT will moderate the debate, raising the dead. So let me see if I can make this a little bit more interactive. Okay. So there's the still man. All right. I think I need to put the Genesis slide right here. Let's see, where is it? All right, let's see here. Do I really not have the Genesis slide here? Surely I do. I recently brought it up in a recent debate. Okay, I think this is where we're close. Yeah. Alright, now we're getting somewhere. My goodness, I have all this mess. This is not good. All right, well, I'm going to open up another PowerPoint. John 15 was the most recent one. So let's start here. So that was Sam Shamoon. All right. Yeah. So yeah, escape, run for your life. Okay, so okay, all right, I got something. I think I'm gonna go with the comparison thing and just start refuting Sungenis at every point instead of doing the comparison up front. I'm just going to bounce back and forth. That way it feels like he's being rebutted from the very beginning. Because this is too messy. All right. So let's take this and let's move this to a 2-column chart. All right. So we'll put Dr. Sungenis on one side. And then Charles Jennings. Okay. So the reality is he's fed up with Protestant. He's fed up with Protestant arguments. All right, he's fed up with Protestant arguments. Well, I am too. I'm offering free grace isn't Protestant. Yeah, that's going to really tick him off from the very beginning. He's fed up with Protestant arguments. Free grace isn't Protestant. They let's see. Fed up with Protestant arguments. So like James and Paul teach differently. I'm saying nope. They teach the same. Okay. Like Romans 2 is hypothetical. Nope. It's actual. Okay. He wrote, not by bread alone. One day I'll write my thesis. THM. Thesis. Okay. Yeah, hey Simon. Yeah, I gotta get the structure right. That's the issue. I gotta make it high energy from the very beginning. I gotta let him know, look, this is gonna be something different. I want him to be engaged. All right. So where he's gonna focus on a process of salvation, I'm going to focus on a process of sanctification. But see, that's not good enough, right? So I don't like that. I gotta say it differently. How would I do this? Okay. Justification is salvation, in his view. Justification is participation, is not salvation. Not in Paul, no one else. Okay, so that makes sense. Justification is salvation. Justification is not salvation. Okay. Gorman. Justification is salvation. Justification is not salvation. still got to explain that. That's going to be the hard part. Different views, books. So this means that you are aware of my categories. You're aware of my categories. He would just think justification. So he conflates categories. Let's just put that. He conflates categories. And let's see, how would I he conflates categories. I consider categories. All right. Yes, Millennium Envoy. Yeah, rightly divide. But you use those words like that. It makes you sound like, oh, you're one of those hyper dispensationalists. That's what they'll say. My screen keeps blinking out on me, so I'm gonna have to get that fixed. Dang. So what I'll probably have to do is I'll probably have to make two forms of this. One wherever I'm writing on paper, and another that my screen is going back and forth, and it's really making me mad. I may have to come back. I'm not even going to kill the stream. Y'all just wait, okay? I got to get to the bottom of this. I'll be right back. All right. Now did the refresh rate. Hopefully that works. Let's see here. Share my screen. All right, conflate categories, consider categories. That's where we were last at. And then instead of doing the Steelman over, all right, so I could delete this one. So let me go ahead and make this. Usually I use about 45 font, but sometimes that's too much. Like this time it looks like it's going to be too much. Why did it make the name not big though? And we need bold. Come on. I'll go ahead and put his whole name. It looks more balanced that way. Dr. Robert Sungenis. All right. So now we're going to use this pattern throughout. So what we'll do is we'll just erase these. What this does is this shows you point by point how I'm countering the system, how it's different. That's essentially what we're doing here. Okay. So if we look here, so he would say James is about how to get saved and stay saved. Okay. I would say that it's hardly about how to be saved. It doesn't even tell you how to be saved. It describes one verse. How would I say this? I'm just going to simplify it. James 2, let's narrow it down to James 2, is about how to stay saved. Okay? And I'm saying James 2 is how to walk with God. How you get saved to stay saved. He would say you stay saved by the system of grace in the RCC. And I'll just say by the biblical system of grace. Okay? All right. So he would say it's based on Christ. Based on the cross. We'll just say the cross. But benefits come from RCC. I would say based on cross, but benefits come from the biblical system. All right. The 7 sacraments, and then it would say the 7 sacraments, and then I would say that initial and they're going to say through the 7 sacraments. I'm going to say each are taken out of context. That will really frustrate them. All right. Let's see. He thinks justification can be lost, or he thinks justification is salvation. I think it's participation. Or let me just make it simple. It's not salvation. Justification is salvation, all right? And so justification is salvation. I'm saying it's not salvation. And let's see, I'll mention Gorman participation. It's not salvation. Gorman's participation. It's participation. And then here, let me delete this one. It's participation for receiving receiving benefits of covenant. Participation in let's take this out, in benefits of covenant. So at this point, I'm going to have to clarify this. So it'd be good if I drop my Gorman slide in here. So let me back up. Because I don't want to lose people here. So I think the next thing I need to do is I need to move these comments up forward. Let's see here. All right. This is his reference. All right. So all right. So yeah, here's the statement about Zane Hodges. Then we can go into this one. All right. Then the 5 views of sanctification. Then we can move this one up forward. The Augustinian dispensational perspective. which is also articulated in major Bible themes on the three major aspects of sanctification. This is the Catholic book that relates to a book on justification that I've also read. And let's see here. And then going full circle, you got the book on participation mentioned there. All right, so I can mention how I talked about this participation with God. I can let's say as part of my prep, I also, study Scott Hahn. Then, of course, your book. I made an argument that existence of God prior to existence of faith is salvation. And made an argument about continual. Okay, so let's see how this flows. I think what I'll do is these will be receipts that I don't have to display, that I can just assert, and then if he wants me to prove what I'm saying, I can pop them out. So with that said, let's see here. All right. So I got the different views books alluded to. Yeah, I have that. Okay. Participation. So I don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Let's bring this up here. Let's see if I've accounted for everything here. Okay. See, guys, it's like a jigsaw puzzle to simplify all of this. But just to get an idea how it would flow, it'd be something like this. The topic for this debate is James 2 consistent with salvation by faith alone? I will be taking the affirmative. The thing to understand is that we're going into this debate. It's most similar to my 17th debate by Seraphim Hamilton, which was on justification, him being Eastern Orthodox and Dr. Sungenis being Catholic. And I told Dr. Sungenis that I would be interested in debating him because he debated James White, he debated Dr. Wilkin, he debated Chris Morrison and Kelly Powers, but I'm almost ashamed to even mention that name. And my point is that he's written a book authoritatively on this, faith alone. And I've read that book, almost every chapter of that book, since I've been preparing for the debate. So you see what happened? I just got bogged down right there. So I don't need to do that because I got to get right into it. So I'll start with this slide. You see, Dr. Sungenis is fed up with the Protestant arguments. But the thing that Dr. Sungenis needs to remember in this very beginning is free grace isn't Protestant. Okay, that means there's going to be people that come after me after this presentation that are not going to be free grace. Anyway, I don't need to say that, but I'm just going to say Dr. Sungenis, he's fed up with Protestant arguments. Well, I agree with him, but free grace isn't Protestant. Dr. Sungenis would use the example of like arguments like James and Paul teach different ways of justification or different types of justification. And I say, nope, they teach the same. And I'll show you that in this debate. He's fed up with people saying Romans 2 is hypothetical. And I'm saying, nope, it's actual. He's written his book, Not by Bread Alone, on it that I've read most of so far. And I'm eventually going to have to write a THM thesis. And a lot of my papers have been related to Genesis 12, Genesis 15, Galatians 3, Romans, and all of that. And so I wanted to debate Dr. Sungenis to evaluate some of my arguments that way whenever I write my thesis, I can either write for or against myself, my current position. I am willing to change my position. Dr. Sungenis believes that justification is salvation. Okay? I believe that justification is not salvation, to simplify things. See, there's different view books that Sungenis mentions in his book that he's aware of. And so what this means is that he's aware of my categories that I always use in my debate. From what I see in his writings, the tendency is among Eastern Orthodox and Catholics is for them to conflate all the categories. Okay? But what my approach is to consider the categories. Do they actually exist? Can the words being used differently in the different categories, such as justification, sanctification, and glorification? You see, Dr. Sungenis believes that James 2 is about how to stay saved because he thinks you can lose your salvation. I believe that James 2 is about how to walk with God, to simplify things. You see, Dr. Sungenis believes that the way that you stay saved is through the system of grace that is within the Roman Catholic Church. I would say that the way that you walk with God is through the biblical system of grace. He would say that his system is based on the cross and that the benefits come from the Roman Catholic Church. It might be easier for me to do it like this. It might be easier for me to go horizontal on this. Let me try that. Even though I got them laid out like this, maybe I'll just go down and try it that way. So Dr. Sungenis is fed up with the Protestant arguments like that whenever the Protestant says James and Paul teach different types of justification, or that Romans 2 is hypothetical. You know, he wrote his book, Not by Bread Alone. It ain't Not by Bread Alone. That's a different book. It's Not by Faith Alone. He wrote his book, Not by Faith Alone, to address this issue. And Dr. Sungenis believes that justification is salvation. And in his book, he mentions the different view books that are common in Protestants and seminaries where they talk about different views. And that will come up in this discussion. The point is that I've noticed that I feel like that Dr. Sungenis conflates categories. Instead of recognizing these categories actually exist, they try to say that there's no significant difference within these categories. Whereas the thing that I want Dr. Sungenis to understand is that free grace isn't Protestant. And guess what? I believe that James and Paul teach the same thing about justification. And I don't believe that Romans 2 is hypothetical. It's actual. I'm going to be working on my THM thesis. And so this is going to help me to know what to say about that. You see, I don't believe that justification is salvation. And the thing is that I know Dr. Sungenis is aware of my categories because he mentioned the books that they're included in his book. But the thing is that I try to focus on considering the categories where he considers on conflating them. Okay? See, Dr. Sungenis believes that James 2 is about how to stay saved. And this is through the system of grace that's in the Roman Catholic Church. It's based on the cross, and that the benefits come from the Roman Catholic Church through the 7 sacraments. So justification in his view is salvation. But in one of the views books that you read Michael Gorman's book on participation. And Michael Gorman was the first book that I ever read on exegesis, probably around 2006 or 7. And so it's really interesting. He has that belief. I got bogged down there, so I probably won't say that. Gorman's view of participation. Well, I'm interested in the concept of participation, but I don't see it the same way the Catholic does. Okay? So actually, let me do this. He uses the term familiar model, and Gorman's and I would say it's familial, but participation in a bit of, let me do it that way. See, he believes that justification is sanctification, and even though he talks about a familial model, it makes me wonder how much participation does he see involved. See, that's throwing me off, that Gorman participation thing. So I think what I'll do is I'll bring the Gorman maybe over here. That won't work. Let me just do with that. So he thinks justification is more of a familiar model. I believe it's familial, but it's participation in the benefits of a covenant. Okay, but I gotta do it like this now. See, I believe that James 2 is talking about how to walk with God, and it's by the biblical system of grace. It's based on the cross, but it's the benefits that come from that biblical system. And I believe that any statements about the 7 sacraments are taken out of context. You see, I don't believe that justification is about salvation. I believe it's familiar, but not participation, but rather it's participation in the benefits of the covenant. And the covenants are not about salvation. That's a little bit better. I can work with that. So we can erase this one. We can erase this one. All right. We can replace this one. Become justified, and one can lose salvation. All right. So he believes that God can't owe us, or God can't be in debt to us. All right. Well, I agree. Unless he obligates himself. And he would say the same thing. God can't be in debt to us unless he obligates himself. I agree. All right. So we can deal with that. So we are not entitled to salvation. We are not entitled to salvation. I agree. But God accepts our works that he graciously enables us to do. Well, guess what? I agree. Works of the law refer to the wrong attitude toward the Mosaic law. Let me see. He believes works of the law are referred to the wrong attitude toward the Mosaic law. I agree in principle. I'll just put it that way. So the RCC is different. Okay, so I'm gonna have to put a new slide here. The RCC system of gracious works is different and acceptable. All right, so I reject the system, but understand their claim. Okay. All right. Okay, we already dealt with that. Like I said, this is more receipts idea, so I don't need to all right. All right, so he would say not by faith alone, and I'm saying I'm gonna have to put this up at the beginning. I'm really struggling here, guys. Anyway, I'll work on delivery tomorrow, but I'm going to continue here. So let's go ahead and see if we can fill up this slide here. If I could get all my slides reduced down and then sleep a few hours and wake up and just, man, it's hot. It's not hot outside, but it's hot in here. All right. I guess it's humid. Okay, so I need to put the thesis of the debate forward, because that's what I'm not seeing right here. I don't know. I kind of like going across. I like the going across idea. Let me try it real quick. Dr. Sungenis is fed up with Protestant arguments, like saying that James and Paul teach different types of justification. He's fed up with Romans 2 as being hypothetical. You know, whenever he wrote his book, Not by Faith Alone, he was addressing these types of issues. He believes that justification is salvation. And in his book, he's talked about the 5 views books that are out there on 5 views on sanctification, 5 views on justification. So I know that he's aware of these categories. I just believe that the Catholic Church conflates these categories. The thing to understand is that free grace isn't Protestant. And guess what? Now this does not flow. Man. Yeah, I'll just do it. I'll just do it this way. Dr. Sungenis is fed up with the Protestant arguments. Well, guess what? Free grace isn't Protestant. See, that's the position I'm defending today. But see, that doesn't work yet because I haven't identified what free grace is, or faith alone. Oh man. Let me try again. Dr. Sungenis is fed up with these Protestant arguments, and guess what? I am too. That doesn't work. Dr. Sungenis is fed up with these Protestant arguments, like saying James 2 and Paul teach different types of justification. Well, he don't have to worry about it in this debate, because it's my belief that James and Paul are both teaching the same type of justification. Maybe I just need to get in there and say what I need to say. Man. No, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to make the steel man up front. Golly. Now y'all see how much I struggle. The comparison thing is not going to work in this one. It just seems too aggressive that way. And it just doesn't seem natural. Steel man, Dr. Sungenis. All right. He's fed up with Protestants. All right. He's fed up with Protestants. Yeah, this is gonna flow. I can handle this. Yeah, I can handle this. We're gonna add more to it, but it's gonna roll like this. I want to first begin by steelmanning Dr. Robert Sungenis' position to the best of my ability. I realized through reading his book and watching his debates that he's fed up with the Protestant arguments that he's heard over the years. He was a Protestant at one time and he became dissatisfied with them. You see, all he hears is that James and Paul teach different types of justification. And then whenever they're pressed on that, they go to Romans 2 and they claim that Romans 2 is hypothetical. He wrote his whole book, Not by Faith Alone, on issues such as this, where he argues basically that justification is salvation. And in this book, he mentions the different view books that are common in Protestantism and in seminaries, like 5 views on sanctification, 5 views on justification. But my concern is that even though he's aware of these categories, he tends to conflate these categories. And I think that's where we need more clarification in these areas. Okay. So let's make this one larger. That flowed a lot better. Let me duplicate slide. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's 67 degrees right now. You have to convert that to Celsius. I can't do it. All right. So, different books. He conflates series. So, I think I could get one more in here. Below. So, James 2 is about how to stay Hey. All right. And this is by the system of grace in the Roman Catholic Church, which is based on the cross, but the benefits come from the Roman Catholic Church through the 7 sacraments. And remember, justification is salvation in his view. And he uses a familial model for this. Okay? All right. God can't be in debt to us unless he obligates himself. Yeah, this is gonna go. This is gonna flow, guys. This is gonna do it. I need to make a duplicate slide because I need to start putting my comments here as well. I gotta get some coffee. My brain is not thinking. Hold on. Okay, hey God the Son, Jesus Christ saves. So got my coffee. All right. So this is gonna it's gonna make it sound like I disagree with him more than I do, but I'll do it this way. James 2 is how to walk with God, and it's by the biblical system of grace. And it's based on the cross, but the benefits come from that biblical system. The sacraments are taken out of context. Justification is not salvation. It's familiar, but it's participation in the benefits of the covenant. So this is the man of steel argument. Delete that. All right. So he's saying we're not entitled to salvation. Okay. Hit slide, erase that. We're rolling now, guys. I prayed. We're rolling now. All right, so but God accepts our works that he graciously enables us to do. Works of the law refer to the wrong attitude towards the Mosaic law. The Roman system of gracious works is different and acceptable from that. And it's not by faith alone. That's essentially what he's saying. All right. So now, familiar participation out of context. Got to move this up. Move this over. All right. So I'm just going to say I agree with his definition of grace in principle. Okay, that should deal with all that one. Boom. Okay. All right. I still wish I was talking about faith alone up front. I'll just go with this. I'm tired of messing with it. So duplicate slide, erase these. Free grace isn't Protestant. James and Paul teach the same about justification. Romans 2 is actual, not hypothetical. Okay, so this is for actual. All right. So THM thesis Justification is not salvation. He's aware of my categories. He needs to consider them. Okay. I reject the system of the RCC. I reject the system of RCC, but understand their claim. All right. So now, delete this one. Topic. So, I don't want to call this duplicate slide. All right. Free graces and Protestant. Okay, so James 2 is consistent with free grace theology. Consistent with faith alone. James 2 is consistent. Okay, here, let me do this. The question. So let's just bring this over. The topic. Is faith alone consistent with James 2? My position is that faith alone. So my position, say free grace theology is the most faith alone position in existence. All right. The term is a cliche. James 2 is probably mentioned in all of my debates. I'm probably going to reduce the font on these slides. So let's take this slide down to 40. Let's bring it to 36. 36. And we can make this one 36. Yeah, that's much better. All right. Let's do about how to stay saved. All right. So we'll leave some room there for that claim. The main issue is James, saved never refers how to be saved from hell. Okay. Also, the phrase in James. There's just going to be redundancy in this. Save one soul. The main issue is in James, saved or save one soul never refers how to be saved from hell. Okay. The Septuagint first used it in escaping, and then I'll pop the Septuagint up here. The Septuagint escaping temporal judgment to save one's temporal life. Now I'll get the slide from that. Did I include it a while ago? I know I opened it. Right. Here we go. Boom. So now it gets real. Now we're getting into, okay, Genesis 19:17. This word escape for your life is being used in this way. Let's see if we can make this a little bit larger. It's a little distorted, but it'll work. Boom. All right. So we don't need this anymore, but my argument continues. So I need to duplicate this slide. So to make things simple, we're probably going to walk through the text. What do I got here? Do I need to go beyond that? I don't know. I'll play around with that in a minute. Let's get to some of this more Bible study-ish stuff that I've used in previous debates with CJ. So, boom. My brethren, when you counter... See, he doesn't have a problem knowing that they're brethren. That's not a problem for him. So I don't need to include that slide. Brother, he don't need to do that. The crown of life, proof he will receive the crown of life. Now they'll say rewards are not in view. Okay, so this would be a good one to include. All right. Shifting the shadow. Okay, this looks like the word we want. Let's see. In the exercise of his will, he brought us forth by the word of truth, so that we will be a kind of first fruits among his creatures. All right. So he gives application in here. And then he mentions, for the anger of man does not achieve the righteousness of God. So we're talking about practical righteousness. I won't even use the term experiential right here. I'll just say practical righteousness. Okay. That's good for me. Now let's go to here. Then we go up. Then you got, therefore, put aside all filthiness and all the remains of wickedness and humility. Receive the word implanted, which is able to save your souls. Okay. All right. So then, boom, I'm going in. I'm making James choose Main issue in James is saved or save one's soul never refers to how to be saved from hell. The Septuagint refers to escaping temporal judgment. Septuagint first reference. Okay. Boom. I show that passage, Genesis 19:17, escape for your life. Boom. I mentioned there's a reason why we believe that rewards are reviewed in this passage, because the term crown of life is mentioned here, and we take this as rewards. In addition to that, in 1:18, it talks about that these people are believers, which we would agree on. In the exercise as well, he brought us forth by the word of God. Okay. And then down here in verse 20, it talks about, for the anger of man does not achieve the righteousness of God. So this is talking about practical righteousness in one's walk. And then 21, continuing this idea of practical righteousness. Therefore, putting aside all filthiness and all that remains of wickedness and humility, receive the word and planted, which is able to save your souls. So you see, he's already mentioned that they've been brought forth. And he tells them to receive the word and plant it, which is able to save your souls. As I mentioned, the term save your soul, it never refers to being saved from hell. Okay. Let's see what we got here. So walking through the passage. The one looking at the perfect law of liberty, what's in what he does, he deceives himself, and his man's religion is worthless. So the idea of worth is mentioned in the passage. Okay. No benefit. And then we see pure and undefiled religion in the sight of our God and Father is this, to visit orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself unstained by the world. All right. My brethren, do not hold your faith in our glorious Lord Jesus Christ with an attitude of personal favoritism. So he's talking about holding your faith. In other words, don't represent Christianity with an attitude of personal favoritism. Faith is referring to the faith that you have in your walk, in your practical faith. You could talk about the applied faith. Might use the term like that. All right. So then he said, listen, my beloved brethren, did not God choose the poor of this world to be rich in faith and heirs of the kingdom which he promised to those who love him? So this is an example of an inheritance, and this is not about salvation. This is about rewards. Okay. And then and the contrast is between dishonor, so you won't receive honor. Right. However, you're fulfilling the royal law, showing love, all of those things like that, convicting them of not stumbling. All right. So we'll make this assertion right here. Salvation of the soul from death, 121, temporal death. Salvation from, I may throw this forward. Salvation from loss at the judgment seat of Christ, 214. Salvation for sins, penalties, disease, salvation from physical death. All right, so we got those. Here's the slide. Here's the slide that wins the debate, in my view. So speak and so act as those who are to be judged by the law of liberty. So this is temporal judgment. For judgment will be merciless to one who has shown no mercy, and mercy triumphs over judgment. Okay? And then what use is it? This is the next phrase that mentions after the triumph over judgment. My brethren, if someone says he has faith, but he has no works, can that faith save him? And it could be can the faith save him? If a brother or sister is without clothing and needed daily food. So it's talking about being practical. It's talking about your walk. Okay? Go in peace who weren't filled, and you do not give what is necessary for your body. What use is that? Even so, faith, if it has no works, is dead, being by itself. Yeah, in your walk, it's no use. It's not being useful. It's not being productive. It's not being pleasing to God. Okay. Diatrib. Someone may well say, I used to focus a lot about the diatrib stuff, but it doesn't matter. A lot of this stuff doesn't even matter. I used to think it was so significant in the debate, but it's not. So I would just not even focus on that. But are you willing to recognize, O foolish failure, that faith without works is useless or dead? Was not Abraham our father justified by works? He offered Isaac. So this is all experiential. So this is where I got to interject my chart. Faith without works is dead. So maybe what I need to do is I need to bring up my chart as it relates to James 2. You know? Because I've been walking through the text, then we get here and boom, we hit them with a chart. Well, I think I got some charts on James, but we'll just make one real quick. All right. So we got the crown. So let's do this. New slide, insert, 3-column chart. Pressing it all down here. Position, experience, and ultimate. Yeah, I'm going to have to introduce the chart here. So let me see what I'm talking about here. So I would have to say traditionally, justification, sanctification, glorification. But the reality is that there's positional justification. Maybe I'll just use abbreviations. Positional justification, experiential justification, and ultimate justification. Then this would be positional sanctification, experiential sanctification, and then ultimate sanctification, and then positional glorification. This is experiential glorification and ultimate glorification. Okay? So I don't have to say much about the chart. I really don't. So then we would say that the term, like we're talking about salvation, right? So we could talk about positional salvation, experiential salvation, experiential or temporal salvation. You can put temporal, and then ultimate salvation. Okay. So then you got the term saved, and then you got the term soul. So I would put soul here. Soul, person, life. I would put it here. Then we got brought forth. So I would put it right here. Brought forth by his word. And then we would put save one's soul right here. Okay. Save one's soul right here. And all right. So now we're working with something here. Say we're cooking with grease. All right. Save one soul. And we got crown of life. Okay. Well, crown of life. See, he's going to get tripped up there on crown of life. Because, like, wait a minute. There's not two categories. So I have to create a chart showing two categories from the beginning, or he's going to get tripped up. Okay, we can do that. Insert 1, 2, 3 all the way down, and then this would be your subcategory. Split cell, boom. And then this was split cell. Boom. All right. So we just go on through position, experience, all right. So typically, you've heard people use the term justification. So it's going to be a little bit different here. Justification. Sanctification. Glorification. Okay. No, that won't work either. Dang it. I can fix it. Merge, justification, sanctification, glorification. All right, there we go. Now we can fill everything in. What did I do wrong? The glorification section dropped. Now y'all know how much I struggle to get my charts right. So, and this is still not perfect. You know what? I'm just gonna hit him with it. You know, he's a scholar. He can handle it. Try this again. I messed it up. Duplicate slide. I may be able to do it faster this way. All right, so he's used to glorification. Okay. Well, I need to explain that justification goes here. And he needs to understand that in James 2, he needs to understand my claim from the very beginning. So I'm going to put James and Paul. Both go in the middle column. And we'll even put David and Abraham. That'll blow his mind. David and Abraham. All right. And I still need two categories, so I need to insert one below, and then I'm going to split it. Split cells too. Okay. So we'll just say this one is the never believer, and this is the once believed. All right. So we're talking about experiential justification here. And we're talking about even passages in Romans. David, Abraham, James, Paul, Abraham. Let's see. You could, and Rahab, you could even say. All right. So I need to change these colors so we can see this differentiation. So I'm going to make this dark. Dark brown. Never believed. Okay. Once believed. We'll make this green. All right. And we'll make justification and sanctification. We'll make it blue. And then we'll make glorification yellow. But we got to split it again. So this is body. And this is ranked. All right, so let's make this one yellow. Oh, that yellow is too bright. Ah, purple. Purple can work. Okay, so we're gonna put a crown here. All right. So then we look at James 1:4 where he says brought forth. Now we're going to have to reduce this in size or it's not going to work. Let's try that. So let's say brought forth. Okay, we're brought forth. We'll go ahead and highlight it, right? And then save one soul. We'll go here. Save one soul, go here. Okay, and then crown goes here. I think that will work. I may not use that chart, but all right. So if I just make the claim, okay, receive the crown of life, that's 112. So that's James 1:12. So I'm just gonna put James 1:12 that you will receive the crown of life. James 1:12 talks about a crown. All right. So I don't need that one. He brought us forth. That's James 1:18. Okay. And then 120 is practical righteousness. So we can put let me just go ahead and stick all these guys here. That works. So then we got 120. Righteousness is practical righteousness. All right. So we got that one. So that's 120. We can erase that. And then 121 is save your soul. Since this chart is all about James, I don't think I need to include James. I just need to say 118 brought forth. 112 crown. 120 righteous. 121 save one soul. All right. All right. Worthless religion. So that is 126. All right. Can delete that one. And so that goes into 27 also. So we could just talk about 27. Worthless and pure religion. And oh, no. Walking unstained. So let me go ahead and do that. Worthless. 27. Unstained. So that's definitely sanctification language. All right. So then we go, let's go ahead and pop the next. Let's see, I can make another column. Your faith. 2, 1. Hold your faith. All right. Duplicate slide. So now I can delete these. And constantly walking through the whole book. Then this one would be never once. So we're going to put the concept of divine discipline here. Divine discipline, temporal judgment, in life or at Bema. We'll even talk about stricter judgment. Okay. So their sin is personal favoritism. Heirs. That's very important. He chose the poor of the world to be rich in faith and heirs of the kingdom, which he promised to those who love him. That's condition. So I'm going to put heirs right here. 2:5. That sounds like a conditional heirship to me. All right. Focus on that. Judged by the law of liberty. That's 112. 112 and 13. So we could say 1, 12, and 13. All right. And then 2:14 is it, can faith save him? So 2:14 can faith save him? All right. And the rest, we're going to go, well, we need to include this. 2:17. Faith is dead. Unproductive. No benefit. Faith is dead. No benefit. How to say this? No use. Let's just do that. Faith is dead. No use. All right, got that one. So I'm gonna put the diatribe right here. Diatribe. Nothing really I need to say about that. Okay, so all right. See next slide for Abraham. Okay. So we got that. All right. So I don't even need this slide anymore. As they say, picture's worth 1,000 words, guys. No, I'm not at Dallas Theological Seminary. I'm at Schaefer Theological Seminary. I received a lot of my informal training from Dallas Theological Seminary influences. Sorry, I'm not interacting with the chat. I'm just so focused on this. There's no disrespect to y'all. All right. Okay. This seems to be a wrap of what I'm saying. James 2 is consistent with my free grace theology, faith alone position, because it utilizes antecedent revelation to interpret the meaning of saved and save one's soul. It takes James and Paul the same by viewing justification as participation in covenant inheritance. It is not soteriological. Covenants are not soteriological. They did not save. Christ's blood that ratifies the covenant is soteriological. That's the basis. It's named divine discipline. It's from related. I have similar thoughts, except justification is not salvation. Okay, it's not too bad. I don't want to drink a lot of this coffee. I think I'm gonna go put my coffee up, because if I drink too much, I'll be awake too long. Hold on. All right. So I'm just transferring these over to these slides. I don't think these are at 36, so yeah, they are. Okay. All right, let's see here. Dr. Sungenis emphasizes the familiar model. I have some redundancy, but I can clean that up later. I don't want to break my flow. All right, we can delete this one. Delete this one. Okay, so I can go visual here. Which it's all right. I'm gonna go ahead and preserve what I have here. They're gonna annoy me? Why would they annoy me? I'm curious, discerner. What makes you think they're gonna annoy him? Cause he doesn't have answers for him? It's not included in his book? I'm the hardest working freelancer, you know. Oh boy. There's probably some harder ones. I just have to motivate myself. If I don't do it live, I won't do it. It's just a trick I've learned to help motivate myself. The moment I start to explain something, the more I get clarity and see where I'm lacking clarity. Okay. No, that one. All right. Duplicate slide. I need to make a chart for this slide here, but I'm just transferring it right now. I'll come back and fix that. I'm gonna draw a picture so that I can have in my mind the idea that I can chart later on. All right, so I'm thinking I probably need to draw something like this. This would be the chart. And at the top, we're probably gonna need something like saying basis on this axis. All right, and then it's going to be a quadrant chart. And so then what we would have is we would have, we'll put dogs on this side, and we'll put cats on this side. Okay. And then you got dogs. Without fleas. I'm going to say a well-groomed dog. So you got well-groomed. Well-groomed. And this is flea infested. Okay. And then you got a well-groomed cat. You got a flea infested cat. Remember, our dogs go to heaven. So, if we take this and we make a new slide using the same structure, and we move from dogs to cats, if I let's see, how would I do this? Okay. So this would be the never believer. And then this would be the once believer. Okay. The never believer can be the never believer can be moral or immoral. Okay. And then the believer can either be let's just, what term should I use? Let's use spiritually mature. And then, or they can be carnal. Sin, unrepentant. All right. Unrepentant and antinomian. I'd rather use the word rebellious. Or unrepentant and apostate. How about that? My point is, all dogs go to heaven. There's some passages that talk about their fleas, which are the individual sins. Okay. And there's others, but the basis for them going to hell is not their sins. Anyway, I'll come back and work on that later. All right. Are these all 36? All right. All right. That fits in there. So here's the one that's going to give him a heart attack. No one goes to hell because of sin. All right. He may stop the bait when he hears that. But Discerner, I mean, I know he's busy, but if he just watches my Cobain debate, do you think if he watched my Cobain debate that would help him? Right. They're different. See if I can get one more down here. Yeah, this is a lot. I got 19 slides done, and I got to reduce 290. I think it'll be all right though, because I got some of them I'm not even going to use. Right? So I don't think I need this part right here. gonna have a lot some redundancy, but I'll go ahead and include the redundancy now. It kind of sounds dumb to me that I have all this redundancy, but I'm trying to give this argument abundantly. But I'm not sure what the people want from me. I think if I can get it down to 50 slides before I go to sleep, I can do the rest of the cuts later. I don't need this. I just need this part right here. All right. Now we're getting some progress. This is his book. I don't need that anymore. I don't need that. There's his email. I'm gonna go ahead and say bye-bye to that one. I'll save these, but I don't think I'll use them. Alright. This, we don't need that. Don't need that. Need that. Okay, I'm gonna have to make a chart for this one, and I probably need to make the chart now, then go any further. So if I'm looking at this chart, all right, I need 3 columns, just like what we had earlier. So let me see if I can just borrow my James chart, if that will work. Copy. And we'll just clean up these words. And we'll probably make the chart smaller. Like really small. So what I essentially need to do here is I'm going to give a code. Justification as a dot is an event. All right, so let me put that here. Event is a dot. Okay. And then dot here. And then this is a dashed line. That's just a reminder. And dash line, multiple dots. Event 1 dot. Yeah, let's do it that way. 1 dot. 1 dot. Okay, so we got that. This is going to be challenging. Okay, Joshua 24 will go here. Josh 24. We're going to use a different color. Yeah, Joshua 24. Okay. And then let's just keep it horizontal. So we would put Genesis 12. How do I want to do this? Maybe I delete this bottom part. Let me just merge these. Merge cells. Okay, Genesis 12. Let me merge this one. Dash line, multiple dots. Genesis 12. Genesis 15. Genesis 17. Genesis 22. Okay. And so what that means is that you have gotta look at this screen. So you would have, of course, you would have James 2. You would have Romans 4. And you would have Galatians 3. Well, let's do Galatians 3 first. And then Romans 4. It's going to blow his mind whenever I put Romans 2. Romans 2. Eternal life. Romans 2. Okay. Romans 2, Galatians, James 2. We might as well put Hebrews 11. All right. Boom. That's done. Don't need that. Okay, so this was CJ. Old Testament theology, progressive revelation, 3-column chart, covenant chart for sanctification, free grace options. This is what I did in my James 2 with him. Testament theology, progressive revelation. I just don't think I need it for this one. I don't need this passage. Don't need this one. I can include this, but I don't think I'm going to use it. Caesar and Vassal Treaty, Abrahamic Covenants. James leads to Jesus, Sermon on the Mount leads Old Testament, Pentateuch is key. I don't even need that. James 2, I already mentioned. Oh, but I do need to make another chart. All right. Because he's going to bring up rebuttals of things. Okay. So. So we would put Matthew 5:20 here. All right. It's practical righteousness. Okay. Sermon on the Mount, yeah. We don't need that. I don't even need to get to that. Real issue, yeah. That's what came about because of that. I don't need this. I'm not going to argue for that. I'm not going to argue for conservative free grace. I'm not going to need the 5-minute argument. This is CJ stuff. Don't need that. Called a friend of God. Yeah. I'm taking all that as experiential, so it doesn't affect me. Now we're rolling, guys. We're rolling now. We're definitely rolling. Might need that. Just lives, physical years of work, physical death. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Object situation means. Don't need that. All right. That. Don't need that. Adjective match gender and case. I don't need that. Conclusion. This is Dillo right here. All right. I gotta force myself to read this. However, there's nothing remarkable or astonishing about this at all. In fact, salvation associated with entering heaven only 40% of the time in the New Testament, and not even once in the Old Testament. This man's we demonstrate below that we understand saved salvation from temporal trial leading psychological. I don't need this. I don't need this. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. That's okay. All right, so let me see what else I can cut out here. Ikayo. It's just not going to be needed for this debate. Seeking to be justified. Not a problem for this debate. I had to over prepare in previous debates, but I don't think I need to worry about any of this. We're not disagreeing about the definition of vindicate. I mean justify. These are conditional passages. This is stuff I used in my David Preston debate. I don't need that. Deuteronomy 6. I might keep that one. I don't need that one. There's the passage too that we're talking about. I might keep that one. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Might keep that one. Might keep that one. Qualitative blessings. This is eternal life. Might use that. That's repeated. That's repeated. This is repeated. Godless Esau. One disinherited. Judges only. Genesis. I don't need any of this. Atonement, expiation. It's in the garden. Okay. These are just my thoughts that I was having when I was reading his stuff. Hey Taylor. Oh well, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm not where I need to be yet, and I slept earlier, so I mean, I'm just tired of working on this. John the Baptist suffering at hands. Oh, that's I never knew you language. I want to keep that argument. Epigenosko, recognize, known, understand, udite, ever, never, Epigenosko. Yeah, that's the arguments for never knew you. I'm gonna let that go. I can deal with that in the future. I can just assert it. Gnosko. Alright. Sozo. Sucane. Okay, this is Sucane. It's gonna melt his brain. So this is right, like on the one he says faith. This is all footnotes. I don't need this. None of them may have life. None of this is ever review. James. Anaphoric. That's about the article. Escape. Okay, there's that passage. Still has some redundancies. Rahab. This James stuff. That's Dillo stuff. There's the diatribe differences. the temporal stuff. I might keep that. I'm gonna fly on my own, so I'm not gonna go with Dillo. Wave escape. Proverbs will save your way from wicked adulterous ways. We'll just use that as one example. So I still got some redundancy, some things I gotta cut, but I mean I'm down to 47 pages. Taylor, can you meet with me? No, I have not. I have not timed my intro. I'm not to that point yet. Can you meet with me on Discord? If not, I understand. So I'm tired of working on it. I really am. There's a colorful chart. All right. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to go work with Taylor on Discord. So I'm going to land this plane. Thank y'all for being here, praying, and hanging out. Y'all check out more content, old stuff, new stuff, and let us know what you think. God bless.